So we have our first panel discussion. While the topic for the day is being future-ready bank, and even before we get into the hows, I think it'll be important to understand the what from a strategic perspective, and what does it mean for the bankers in the room? What does it mean for us? So to have a very interesting discussion, I would like to welcome my panelists on stage. My first panelist, if I may invite Mr. Vikram Tandon, please put your hands together to welcome Vikram. Vikram was a former CHRO at HSBC and with Adani Group. Welcome, Vikram. My second panelist is the National Head for Consumer Bank at Federal Bank. Please put your hands together to welcome Mr. Virat Dibonji. Virat. My third panelist for the day, he's the Group Head for Banking as a Service, International Banking, and the Digital Ecosystem Banking at HDFC Bank. Please welcome on stage Mr. Abhijit Singh. Morning and welcome again on the panel. Obviously, we are setting the tone for what could be an interesting day ahead. And, the conversation here is actually, let's say, the 30,000 feet view from where the industry is and where the industry is likely to move towards. And as we talk about the future of banking, it is important to also get a perspective on where we have been and where we've moved forward from. And going back to the comment that Sanjeev made in his keynote, strategy has always been driving technology, right? And we now see a lot of collaborative work that is enabling technology-driven business, should I say. And that's the question I'm going to ask. Start with you, Abhijit. You have a mic with you there? Yeah. Yes. So my question to you is, what do you think strategy driving technology will mean for the future bank? And more importantly, what do you see the tech-enabled ecosystem play that we are seeing banks adopt, in the way forward, and something that you've been personally driving? How do you see that unfolding in the near future and the, let's say, medium-term future?
You have it's a very, very long and tough question.
Loaded question.
Loaded question, So I've been a CIO for a long part of my life and now transitioned into business. But earlier what used to happen as CIO, you will say, if somebody asks you what is your IT strategy, you first ask what is the business strategy. Yeah. I think over the last few years, I realized, if I look back at my career, 2014-15 was what AI is today was happening to digital. So you had a business strategy, you would, as a tech strategy, you'll first look at business strategy and decide, let me form a tech strategy. Now, today's conversations, when I am seeing in the boardrooms, I don't see the CEO talking about a business strategy. He's looking at, what is the thing that technology can do. So it's kind of reversing, if I may say so. It's very different. Earlier it was more an outcome-driven business guy will say, I want to do so much of business, and then you will mostly be a support function from a technology point of view. Today it is completely turned on its head. It's all about, I have seen many CEOs talking API. I think AI, everybody talks about it. So the language has actually changed in the boardrooms, and there is a lot of tech enablement that is happening. So tech has definitely, over the last 10 years, moved from kind of a support function to very integral to business strategy. So in some places, actually, tech is forming the business strategy. So the unit that I am running is actually tech forming the business strategy. So it's very interesting, so over my course of my career, I'm seeing all this happening. I think the second question that you asked was, how do you drive this in the future? Yeah. All of us, in this room talk that data is the new oil and things like that, but in most of our organizations, data is broken by silos. I think that part as a industry, we need to move forward. And actually the biggest shining example in front of us where data is not in silos is actually this country. If you look at most of the stacks that have been created are actually completely interoperable. You can plug an API, you can use Aadhaar, you can use national identity. You could, take a COVID certificate out of it when you were having a COVID issue. You could take a health insurance on top of it. So probably India as a government or a public sector is a shining example of, how technology can drive a business strategy together. And that's, something that I always carry with me, when I talk about technology, even in our organization. I think the last part of your question is very interesting. So in HDFC Bank, we looked at ecosystem as a strategy. So, and I was just, in the morning, just preparing for this, and very interesting. UPI is a great example, where the ecosystem has come together. Banks have come together. Payment apps have come together. Merchants have come together. Even, my local vegetable fellow has come together. He's a user of UPI. So all of us have come together and actually formed the UPI. Now, if you look at statistically, UPI is doing about 46% of all global digital transactions. It's not only payments, it's all global digital transactions. So it's a big, big thing for India. Even, we may be closer to the numbers that China is doing. Yeah. The second piece is that, sad for us, sad for the bigger banks, 65% of our customers take a product from another bank. It's not their main bank. So it's actually driving a clear message that no matter how big you are or what kind of a bank you are, it's very difficult to meet the aspirations of today's customers, who want everything everywhere, who want everything instantly. So partnerships is the way to go forward. And in our business, what we are doing basically is we had branches in the past, where you'll go and put a branch in the most populous place. We are looking at, how can you bring bank into your hands. Our tagline is Bank Aapki Muthi Mein. And we are trying to, be part of your lifestyle. So if you are doing a payment transaction, how can banking be there? If you're buying something like in Amazon, it's a great example. You're buying an iPhone. Most of the banks are doing that they give you an EMI to it. So that journey which is happening for banking, is where we are moving. If I look at your question, it's very nicely connecting all the dots of my career over the last 20 years or so, that it starts from, how tech has now become very close to the business strategy. What are the enabling blocks that you need to actually do, like data, etc. And then coming to an outcome which I am seeing today, where banking can be embedded in your lifestyle.
Interesting there, Abhijit. I mean, you talked about data being the new oil, and somebody was saying, chips are the new oil, and somebody said, but chips are made from oil. But thanks for that, Abhijit. I mean, that's clearly talking about what you've seen over the years. But central to all of this, ultimately we're doing all of this for the customer. And I'm going to take that piece of the discussion to you, Virat. Banks are going through, let's say, transformations, and there is so much that's happening around us. But end of the day, I mean, we're doing all of this with the customer in the front and center of everything we're looking to do. Well, the segments may change, the customer may change, or maybe new customers you're dealing with. But the essential part of what we are looking to do, which is serving the customer, doesn't change. But I have a question for you. How have you seen customer service evolve over the last few years? And how do you see customer service going forward? I mean, when we are dealing with, things that are more digital, what does it really mean to customer service? And what should banks really do to be up there?
Thanks, Ram. You see, I'll start from the basic. If you ask me, really, banking is a business of trust. And service is a place where banks have an opportunity to really build trust with the customers. Over the period, earlier in the early days, we used to have how is the customer service measured. Some of the metrics that was used as how many complaints you get per 1,000 customers. From there, it moved to how much time, the turnaround time it takes to solve these things. I think it has now changed. Means those are the metrics. I'm not saying they are not important, but it has changed. And the way in which the present day service is getting into is predictive, personalized, and trust anchored. Means experience that I give to the customer. No longer he looks at me as a banker or a bank. He looks at me as a service provider. Coincidentally, I am dealing with his money. So that's the fundamental change that you see. And if I have to exaggerate a bit, we are moving where don't look at what technology does to the service. How importantly the technology adds value to the financial life of the customer. I think this is the change that will happen. It is happening. And today, I don't think technology is changing the service. It is the expectations which is changing. Today, a customer expects the speed of AI, empathy of human, and trust of an institution all in one go. Means today we have lived in the world whereby it was in stages, but now we know there are certain institutions in past where said that acha, uska service bahut acha hoga. Now customer is expecting, and he is equating across the industry. He doesn't look at whether you are from a hospitality industry or where you are from an engineering industry or you are from the banking industry. So that's what is happening. And the other significant change which I have personally witnessed is customer service from being a cost center now is moving to a proactive value creator. And I think the banks which will understand and accept this particular philosophy will succeed. And that's my very, very clear view and the way in which I see how it is moving. Now, if you have to see it from the customer lens and how it has changed, and here I would put it starting with the customer, where the customer says, please solve the problem before I come to know about it that there is a problem. That is his expectation now. And we have seen over a period of time. Earlier, we bankers were waiting for the customers to come in and say, I have a problem, or how will you help me to do this? Now, you have AI-driven things whereby it nudges you, it preempts the things, and it really pushes you to do the right thing. So that is the more important change that is happening. The second change, or the second thing which has evolved over the years, and when I take it from the customer lens, the customer says, I need speed when I need, but I need human when it matters. You can automate the processes. Repetitive processes you can easily automate. But when it comes to sensitive or highly involved transaction, customers look for human touch or reassurance. And that's where the present level of service will certainly start changing. The third area, again from the customer lens, if I have to start, the customer says, I need to trust your technology is treating me fair. Today, you have algorithms and AI doing everything for the customer. But customer says, I need to trust your technology. And that's where the fairness, the evaluation of the model, explaining, they might be enamored by what an AI can do. But at the end of the day, if it doesn't explain, they just look at it as a black box. So that's the other thing. The other part, we as bankers, means we, over the years, we have evolved the channels. Now, what customer is saying is, don't ask me to repeat. And that's where the real challenge will come in. You can start your issue on a chat, go to the branch, and monitor the status on your app. But keep my context in mind. Don't just proliferate your channels. I should be able to get what I want very smoothly. That's what customer is saying. If I take the fourth view from the customer lens point of view, he says, use my data to help me. Don't overwhelm me. So the data means when I'm taking data from my customer, I have to make sure that the customer trusts in sharing the data, and he is convinced that he is going to, means as a bank we are going to use it for the advantage. And there is, means give and take. I will share my data if you serve me better. So that's the third or the fourth lens from the customer, and as I see how the customer service has moved. And if I take the fifth one, whereby the customer is now saying, don't leave me alone, don't leave me behind. And in a country like India, where you have different literacy levels, different level of comfort on the technology, today we again as bankers have to think about, we may design the best app, but it should work on the feature phone. Voice and vernacular has become the basic requirement for the customer. If we believe that we don't want to leave the customer or exclude the customer. So he says, please don't leave me. I'm also an important customer for you. So I can go on and on and on, Ram, but I think this is where the change that I have witnessed in customer service over the years. And I don't think any bank would be judged that how good their digital channels are. From a service point of view, the customer will look at how the systems were intelligent enough, which were invisible, intuitive, and giving me the best experience that I wanted to look at. That's how the
it's the experience that matters eventually.
That's right.
And I quite like the way you put it there, Virat. I mean, talking about it has to be A, predictive, B, it has to be personalized, and it has to actually reflect trust at the end of the day. And don't overwhelm me with insights that I'm not looking for, but do help me there. But you actually made one comment, Virat. I just want to go back to that. You said, look, customer service is no longer a cost center or a cost, it's actually more of value addition, right? Could you elaborate for us what that means, for banks, and how does value really get added there?
No, today means value addition, when what I meant is customer retention. He is not, means today any banking product is a commoditized product. I can come out with a new product and within 48 hours my competition can just get the same product up and running. But it is the experience, how I go through the entire process of either buying that product, or when I have a challenge or a problem, how am I being attended? So that is where the value creation comes in. The differentiator means in the AI world, it will be the data privacy and security of this thing. But these are all, and I have to invest. I have to invest in technology to make sure, because otherwise, the way in which in the early days, I used to look at it, if I have to provide for service, how many phone calls will come in, how much agent can take a call in a day, so I will need a call center with so many seats. And that's my expense. Today, I'm viewing it that I'm investing in this to make sure that the customer stays with me. And longer he stays, the probability of me to sell him more products goes up. And what do you call, what he just mentioned, Abhijit just mentioned, that if the 65% of the customers bank with others, that's my biggest challenge.
Yeah.
And it's means in India, that's the biggest challenge.
It's the opportunity that is saved. And I think you were mentioning this morning to me when we were having a chat, nobody measures opportunity loss.
Yeah.
And that's really the measurement that we are talking about as value addition. No, very interesting, Virat. Please, Abhijit.
If I may just add, I think what I've seen on customer service earlier, it was a glorified name for a call center. So, you know, you would get some queries and you would call it customers. But over the years, I've seen that customer service departments have actually started, and especially I see in HDFC Bank, is they're looking at the whole experience. So you can't call them customer service actually anymore because they're looking at the whole experience, putting learnings of various problems that have come through and how to define a process. So it's really evolved.
The names have changed. Earlier it was called call center. Then came the customer experience center. So even now, to attract talent, you have to bring in the real motto behind it, that what you actually want to really offer to your customers.
You talked about bringing in talent, and I'm going to take that to you there, Vikram. Talent today is very different from what talent we probably were looking for 10 years back or even 5 years back. And you've actually been a veteran. You've seen how the people angle or people perspective to running business has been over the years. So I have two questions for you. You know, when you are building a future-ready bank, you are actually building not just the institution, but you're actually building in a culture of innovation, a culture of investing in skill sets, and obviously it takes more than what meets the eye. So my first question to you would be, what if you have to pick a few critical success factors that would define a successful bank in being future ready, what would those be in that context? And my second part, which is an extension to that, is what kind of leadership skills and what kind of leaders would we need to create as we get ready for the future ready banking as we speak about?
Thank you so much. First of all, I'd like to acknowledge that you put up a terrific presentation. I thought that was an excellent overview what's happening in the industry. And second, I'd like to ask the audience, I don't know if you asked Alexa or your Siri or the phone, does your spouse love you? And it should be able to give you a fairly accurate answer, maybe in 12 months with a solution also. And that's where technology is coming in a big way. And you really realize the value of technology that's got embedded in Indian banks when you travel overseas, where the lack of technology is so stark. When you swipe a credit card or you try and do a money transfer, there are so many bottlenecks and there is nobody to help. Just because it happens fairly seamlessly in India, maybe it's taken for granted, but I would say as a user and as a frequent traveler, Indian banking is really awesome. Of course, there may be opportunities to do more, but overall, I just feel as a consumer, apart from the frequent KYC ask, everything else works really good. So I've tried to put in some comments of where will we be in this room, maybe even 3 to 5 years from now, as busy executives, trying to define a career. And I put some comments together where, we are transitioning from putting AI into products to putting AI into people. And that's where banking comes in, as Virat has also mentioned. The real impact of Gen AI so far has been into work only. And just like Word, Excel, PowerPoint revolutionized, and some of you are much younger, so maybe you haven't seen the world before PowerPoint. But it really changed the way work happened and the way the work got presented. From months into like weeks or days. And today, AI is bringing that down from days into minutes, including nanoseconds. When you input something into ChatGPT, you expect the answer in under 30 seconds. And that's what is really defining how work will happen in the future. I think AI is going to redefine processes, job contents, what people do, and redesign the workflow completely. There is a really big opportunity for banking employees to pair with AI to rebundle the tasks that they do, to work across silos within our own banks, as you and I experience them, and to really create a win for the customer. Traditionally, people have been married to the process and the task, and maybe there's an opportunity to refocus it on the customer. I think going forward, teams will work along with empowered AI agents, okay, in banking as well. And each one of us, our job descriptions will completely change in the bank of the future. Or maybe they are now. And I would expect that every job description will have three parts. The first is what will the human do, okay, which is us in this room. Second is what is the AI assisted part of the job. And third would be really what is an empowered AI agent that will do. And with the changes in the job description, I expect the whole performance management, the way performance of humans, of AI-assisted roles, and AI will completely, question the existing performance management frameworks. And finally, the reward cycles will and must undergo a very substantial change. And I feel that what is at the center of this is the employee. The reality is that not much has changed in the bank today. I think there is almost a revolution taking place for employees, for the customer, in the back office, in our global capability centers, where reconciliations of credit cards, where audit issues get detected pretty quickly. But for a frontline employee, somehow the banks have not yet adopted AI the way it could. All of us have two arms. AI and technology is going to be our third arm. And if we don't use the third arm, then imagine eating food with one arm tied behind your back or doing anything. And that's where the opportunity is. So I think the better banks will create absolute adoption of AI in their people. And they will start working with, AI on their side as the third arm. And the other banks maybe won't do it as fast. So the trick would be to partner with banks to make this happen for us. And that's where the opportunity is. Brings me to leaders. Most leaders are, middle-age plus. And nothing wrong with that. And that's where adoption becomes a bottleneck. And to the people in this room and to your teams, if you cannot make technology the third arm, then, a lot of jobs are going to go away. Banks will triple, quadruple their earnings. Employee base will not go up. So, you know, the smarter banks will repurpose their people, will redesign jobs. And I hope the leadership in this room and others are able to drive that massive change. It is a change management opportunity. There'll be some guardrails, but overall somebody's got to, you know, be the role model and get it done. So, you know, those are broad comments.
Very interesting. You know, Vikram, as they say, you kind of forewarned a lot of people in the room about what is going to happen. And as they say, forewarned is forearmed. You talked about 3 arms, but you actually have brought in the 4th arm there as well. You know, I will soon open up questions to the audience, but before I did that, I wanted to ask each one of you one question and maybe the same question to all of you. And it's a very crystal ball gazing question, which is, and I'll start with you there, Virat. If you were to actually pick one defining shift that you would see in the banking industry, and should we have this conversation 3 years from now, what is that shift that you would see to have happened? And what do you think banks should actually do to be ready to deal with that shift?
Yeah. So if I have to pick up one change, and which I see over future of 3 to 5 years, is we moving from digital banking to autonomous banking. With AI coming in, it will look for the customer needs, automate the decisions, embed it into my day-to-day life, and in reality, what will happen? Customers will stop doing banking. Banking will happen for them, and I think that's the way it is heading. It is at different stages of evolution. Means we know, and what does this mean? If you really ask me, today now you have AI-driven models which nudge me on my whether there is a likely fraud happening or whether there is a repayment coming in. So those kind of things are happening. Today, I think you have a very, very personalized journeys coming in, which is based on real-time behavioral, transactional, and ecosystem data that is available to you. I think that's the second level, means ramification of what I mean of autonomous banking. The third thing that I see in this is how the trust factor, while the algorithms and the things will take over, but you need to provide fairness, explainability to the customers, and that's where the real change is. What will be the result of this as you move from digital banking to autonomous banking? In my view, 3 or 4 things will happen. One, the amount of friction will go down to negligible. The trust and transparency will become my competitive moat. And I will have to partner with ecosystem. Because I believe if the bank is not autonomous internally, it will become dumb pipe in the outside world. And that's the real change that you will see as you move from the digital banking to this. Now, banks obviously need to prepare for it. It's not an easy task. And various banks will be at various stages, and people who take the lead or succeed, I think, will get the lion's share. The first and the foremost that I see is AI-ready infrastructure. You need to redesign your operating model which embeds automation. The third one is talent. Means what Vikram alluded to. I need to prepare my people. Rather than fearing that AI will take away my job, you have to start thinking, saying that AI will actually empower people. And I think that's the third thing that the change that you have to meet. Fourth is again partnership with ecosystem. So these are 4 things which we have to start preparing ourselves if we have to really get to the level. And I don't think, means gone are those days where the banks will be evaluated in terms of how much technology that it is using or how efficient their digital channels are. The reality would be how much of their systems are intelligent, intuitive, and giving effortless experience. I think if these 3 factors is going to be the parameter on which the banks will be evaluated going forward. And in my mind, the process has begun of being an autonomous bank. I think it's time now for us to really start preparing for it.
Got it. Abhijit.
Yeah, so आजकल तो सब जगह AI ही है, but if I borrow the term from Vikram, I happened to go to Singapore FinTech Festival. Every second booth was about AI, and yesterday evening by chance middle age plus me went to Tech Roast, and every second guy was an AI engineer. So I think what one fundamental thing which will change, which I am seeing now, is during my times it was only the engineers and generally the computer engineers who are comfortable with programming. Now it is almost every young Indian is comfortable with programming. Almost every second person I talked yesterday evening had a public repository on GitHub. And even if he's making a JSON file or a HTML, CSS file, he has a public project to showcase. Yeah. So I think one big factor which is going to come in as we move forward is the ease with which normal people are also able to program, and AI is only going to take it further with you can just ask ChatGPT and it writes the whole code for you. So the conversation or the ease of programming is actually going to define how banks will adopt AI going forward. And I am actually seeing that trend in a very big way. AI will change the unit economics. It changes the way we make PPTs. In my team only, over the last 2-3 years, I've seen PPTs come out very quickly, and I always suspect it has come from ChatGPT. Yeah. On that note,
So from being autonomous, I think we're also talking about from invisibility to actually being AI driven. Last comments there, Vikram.
So I think clearly earlier the machine understood only Java. Now the machine understands English. So they are able to write the code, right? It's no surprise. To me, 2 things I hope banks are able to do. A, I hope they are able to keep my money safe. With so much of hacking and cybercrime, I really worry, will my money be there in a bank account or not? And second, I feel that all of us constantly have a new RM every 3-4 months. Or if the RM is too good, our accounts move with the RM. I hope banks are able to have proprietary knowledge of the customer and create that stickiness and solutions with my history inferences. And that churn stops. I just feel as a customer, I will have far more personalization. And eventually I may be talking to an agent, not an app on the phone, to say this is what I want to do. And the agent may be talking to 3-4 banks and getting a solution in an autonomous world. So it's not magic, but it's heading towards
Heading there.
Thanks.
Lovely. So I think that's a wonderful discussion. You will be having the panelists at the coffee break to ask questions. We're probably running out of time. But can I say a big thank you on behalf of the audience here for a wonderful discussion, excellent insights, and thank you again. Yeah.